Before I start, let me say that I am not a sports gamer. I'm especially not a football gamer. I never played football in high school nor watched it as a kid. I was perfectly content just being a completely mediocre high school wrestler. And while I understand the mechanics of grappling, I don't understand the mechanics of football outside of good old grade school style two-hand touch, that is. So this is written from the viewpoint of someone who's not a fan of football. Still busy at the time making Madden for 16-bit consoles, EA contracted out the first PlayStation Madden to a smaller company named Visual Concepts. It was slated to be a launch game for Sony's console. It didn't take long before EA figured out that things weren't coming along quite as expected. According to this article in EGM, they tried to render each team individually. Instead of rendering a player, then applying different uniform textures. They painstakingly rendered the 49ers, Cowboys, etc. What this meant was the engine was chunky and would even take 5 to 10 seconds to load in defensive players after a change of possession. As you might imagine, this meant that the game was in rough shape. Imagine having to wait for a Madden game to load in offensive and defensive players separately. Apparently they did send some early preview versions of the game out to some gaming outlets at the time, saying it was still work in progress as an excuse. And EA still maintained that the game would come out. They even put a screenshot of Madden 96 on the demo disc that came with launch PS1 systems. However, there was one big thing that made EA stop the production of Madden 96. They saw Sony's own NFL Gameday on the PlayStation. By comparison, they knew that Madden 96 wasn't up to snuff, so they canceled Madden 96 thanks to NFL Gameday. Gameday was already showing Madden up. EA apparently barely got Madden 97 out in time by the next year. Madden was off to a rough start on Sony's system. A lot of this had to do with what became a very bitter rivalry of one-upmanship between NFL Gameday and Madden. Gameday 97 outscored Madden 97, meaning EA was once again shown up by Gameday in their maiden PS1 outing. In 1997, Madden 98 came out, and while Madden fans vehemently praised it for its sim elements, Gameday completely embarrassed Madden that year, with Gameday 98 being a completely polygonal football game, something they said couldn't be done on the PS1. By comparison, Madden's two-dimensional sprite-based character graphics looked incredibly outdated and last-gen. This was a big deal. Gameday completely showed Madden up with a fully 3D football game that used motion capture technology to make the players move in a lifelike manner, and at the time had detailed graphics that could immerse football fans even deeper into its gameplay. And in playing both 2D and 3D football games for this video, I can say that while the 2D games certainly have their own fun play style, the 3D games are a lot more fluid and playable overall. Almost night and day difference in feel. This was a big deal at the time for good reason. Now, EA had produced a fully polygonal Madden on the N64 in 97, but stuck with the 2D sprite-based graphics for the PS1 version. On the N64, it was Quarterback Club versus Madden, and while Quarterback Club definitely always won in the graphics battle versus Madden on the N64, nothing beats the complete humiliation of a fully polygonal NFL Gameday 98 versus a 2D Madden 98. EA had egg on their face with this one. Perhaps the embarrassment could best be summed up with this quote from 989 Studios' Kelly Flock. "If you want to play next year's Madden early, buy this year's Gameday." I did find an IGN article where Madden creator Scott Orr responded, but it doesn't take away that steam. Gameday beat Madden to it and showed them up big time in 1998. Madden 99 was EA's first foray into polygonal graphics on the PS1, and the only game I have any experience with because my brother played the crap out of this one back in the day. The rivalry between Gameday that year was still deadlocked. Gameday was more arcadey and had more detailed graphics, faster gameplay, and better control options, but Madden had the more sim feel, added the franchise mode, and even a play editor. Some magazines gave Madden the edge thanks to all its features, some gave it to Gameday for the gameplay and control. Madden 2000 finally saw Madden pulling ahead of Gameday in the reviews. Gameday still reviewed very well, but Madden was once again the king. EA had finally pulled themselves out of a rut and put out, according to the reviews, the best PlayStation and N64 football game that year. Having played both for this review, Madden definitely feels great to play and has some delightful ska music in the menu. I like ska music, I don't care if you don't. I still can't quite figure out the passing in Gameday Gameday, which is more complex than in Madden, which automatically takes care of it for you. But Gameday was still solid. If I could figure out how to play it better, I might actually like it better than Madden, but at this point I'm used to games doing things for me, like catching the ball. In the year 2000, Madden 2001 and Gameday 2001 hit on the PS1, and it was business as usual. Gameday was solid but didn't review as well as Madden, and both games played similar to their previous year's version. Nothing incredibly new, but nothing broken. However, something a lot more exciting happened that year, which changed this rivalry forever. What happened, you might ask? Well, here's what happened.
It's finally here. After over a year of anticipation and drooling over the tech demos, oohing and awing over the reported specs and capabilities of the console, the somewhat controversial unveiling of the system's final design, DVD movie playback, backwards compatibility to original PlayStation games and peripherals, and all the hype and excitement surrounding the system and what it offers, one still can't help but feel as if they are on the precipice of history, as Sony is about to release the PlayStation 2 here in North America. Already in the hands of Japanese gamers for over 7 months now, it is finally North America's turn to take part in the biggest video game console launch in history. That's right, it's a new millennium and the PS2 is leading the charge.
Madden NFL 2001 was a premier launch title for the PS2. It showcased fantastic next-gen graphics, amazing animations, and TV-style presentation. As silly as it is to gush over a football game for a launch title, Madden 2001 was a special next-generation step-up for the series, and it really showed off the power of Sony's new console. Gameday 2001, however, was a complete mess. Glitchy, ugly, unfinished. 989 should have had the wisdom to cancel Gameday 2001 like EA did with Madden 96, because the finished product was an unfinished product. The series, which actually did start to improve quite a bit before EA bought the NFL license, never recovered. By then there was another epic football game rivalry in full swing, the final football game rivalry. In the year 1999, when EA was finally pulling ahead of Gameday with Madden 2000, Visual Concepts, the same team who fumbled Madden 96, released NFL 2K on the Sega Dreamcast. EA, who refused to support the Dreamcast, never put a Madden game on the system. Instead, Dreamcast gamers got by many counts a superior franchise to Madden on the Dreamcast, thanks to the NFL 2K franchise. I don't play sports games, but even I like the NFL 2K games, whereas I don't play Madden. 2K just felt so much more intuitive to play and had the coolest play calling screens around. Visual Concepts made a game that hardcore football fans and novices like myself could dive right into. Plus, if the game is cheating like all these games do, convenient fumbles and interceptions here and there, yeah, okay, yeah, that's why it happened. You just threw a bad throw. It wasn't the game cheating at all. I could turn off all penalties, including offsides, and stand in between the quarterback and the snapper, and get instant sacks. Yes, cheating. Yes, but the game cheats too, okay, so it's okay. I remember some magazines like GameFan giving NFL 2K1 on the Dreamcast a nod over Madden 2001 on the PS2. Sure, Madden had the graphics advantage, but 2K was the better football game according to certain outlets. In 2001, Sega pulled the plug on the Dreamcast and became a third-party developer for the three major consoles. This was a surreal time to be a gamer. We never thought we would see the day that Sega games went to Nintendo or Sony consoles. Since, at the time, Sega owned the 2K franchise and Visual Concepts, this meant that NFL 2K2 was released on the PS2 and Xbox, and for the first time ever went head-to-head against Madden on the same consoles. Madden still always won in the sales department, even after 2K dropped the price of NFL 2K down to $19.99, which according to a Kotaku article I found scared EA to death. A lot of gamers still maintain that NFL 2K was the best football franchise ever. This rivalry between Madden and 2K was the last great football game rivalry, because as we all know, in 2005 EA bought the exclusive rights to the NFL license, thus killing all other NFL football game franchises. Dirty pool, EA. But then again, if they can outsell a $20 rival, it kind of makes sense, even if I hated it at the time and still hate it to this day. Overall, I'd say it's still fun to look back on the rivalry between Gameday and Madden, and then NFL 2K versus Madden. It's just one of those interesting rivalries from gaming history. I don't care about sports games. I almost never play them unless it's something like NBA Jam or NFL Blitz. However, for sports gamers, it would have been pretty awesome to see at the time, because you got to see each company putting their best efforts into their games just to top the competition. Competition is good. It brings out the best in developers whose efforts would eventually stagnate without it. Whether you were a Madden fan, a Gameday fan, or a 2K fan, or are like me and never played sports games and didn't really care about any of them at the time, it's still fun to look back on these old rivalries. And while I'm just covering the NFL games here, you can also look into the college games which each company released to see how the rivalry played out in their college football games alongside their NFL games. You always gotta like when one company pushes the other company to do better. And that's why I find this rivalry incredibly interesting even if I'm not a sports game player.